All you need to do is to change into some sort of an insect, and you can fly out through a hole or a crack in the window. But what about those of us who don't know how to change into these tiny things? We have to stay and take the blame for you. If he does something like that, said the Tang monk, and leaves us behind, I'll recite that old-time sutra and see whether he can take it. When he heard this, 8 Rules did not know whether to laugh or not. Master, he said, what are you saying? I have only heard the Shura Gemma Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, the Peacock Sutra, the Guanyin Sutra, and the Diamond Sutra in Buddhism, but I have never heard of anything called the Old-Time Sutra. You don't know about this, brother? Said Pilgrim. This fillet that I wear on my head was given to Master by the Bodhisattva Guanyin. Master deceived me into wearing it, and it took root, as it were, on my head so that it could never be removed. There is, moreover, the tight fillet spell or the tight fillet sutra. The moment he recites that, I'll have a terrible headache, for it's the magic trick designed to give me a hard time. Master, don't recite it. I won't betray you. No matter what happens, all of us will leave together. As they spoke, it grew dark and the moon rose in the east. Pilgrim said, when all is quiet and the crystal orb is bright, this is the time for us to steal away. Elder brother, said 8 Rules. Stop this hocus pocus. The doors are all locked. Where are we going to go? Watch my power, said Pilgrim. He seized his golden hooped rod and exercised the lock-opening magic. He pointed the rod at the door and all the locks fell down with a loud pop as the several doors immediately sprung open. What talent, said 8 Rules, laughing. Even if a little smith were to use a lockpick, he wouldn't be able to do this so nimbly. Pilgrim said, this door is nothing. Even the South Heaven Gate would immediately fly open if I pointed this at it. They asked their master to go outside and mount the horse. 8 Rules pulled the luggage and Sha Monk led the way toward the west. Walk slowly, all of you, said Pilgrim. Let me go and see to it that the Taoist lads will sleep for a month. Disciple, said Tripitaka. Don't harm them, or you will be guilty of murder as well as robbery. I won't harm them, said Pilgrim. Going inside again, he went to the door of the room where the lads were sleeping. He still had around his waist a few sleep-inducing insects, which he had won from the Devaraja Virapaka when they had played a game of guess fingers at the East Heaven Gate. Taking out 2 of these insects, he filliped them through a hole in the window. They headed straight for the faces of the lads, who fell at once into a sleep so deep that it seemed nothing could arouse them. Then Pilgrim turned around and caught up with the Tang monk, and all of them fled, following the main road to the west. Throughout that whole night, the horse did not pause to rest, and they journeyed until it was almost dawn. Monkey, said the Tang monk, you have just about killed me. Because of your mouth, I've had to spend a sleepless night. Stop this complaining, said Pilgrim. It's dawn now, and you may as well take some rest in the forest here by the road. After you have regained a little strength, we'll move on. All that elder could do was to dismount and use a pine root as his couch. As soon as he put down the luggage, Sha Monk dozed off, while 8 Rules fell asleep with a rock as his pillow. The great sage son, however, had other interests. Just look at him. Climbing the trees and leaping from branch to branch, he had a grand time playing. We shall leave them resting and make no further mention of them now. We now tell you about the great immortal, who left the Tushita Palace with the lesser immortals after the lecture was over. Descending from the green jasper heaven and dropping down from the auspicious clouds, they arrived before the 5 villages abbey at the Long Life Mountain, where they found the gates wide open and the grounds neat and clean. Well, said the great immortal, clear breeze and bright moon are not that useless after all. Ordinarily, they don't even bestir themselves when the sun is high, but today when we are away, they are willing to rise early to open the gates and sweep the grounds. All the lesser immortals were delighted, but when they reached the main hall, they discovered neither fire and incense nor any trace of a human person. Clear Breeze and Bright Moon were simply nowhere to be seen. Because of our absence, the two of them must have stolen away with our things, said the rest of the immortals. Nonsense, said the great immortal. How could those who seek the way of immortality dare to engage in such wickedness? They must have forgotten to close the gates last night and gone to sleep. They are probably not yet awake this morning. When they all reached the door of the Taoist lads, they found the door tightly shut and heard heavy snoring from within. They pounded on the door and attempted to rouse them, but the lads could not be wakened by all that clamor. Finally, the immortals managed to pry open the door and pull the lads off their beds. Even then, they did not wake up. "Dear immortal lads," said the great immortal, laughing, "those who have attained immortality should not be so desirous of sleep, for their spirits are full. Why are they so fatigued? Could it be that someone has played a trick on them? Quickly, bring me some water." One of the lads brought half a cup of water to the great immortal, who recited a spell before spitting a mouthful of water on the lads' faces. The sleep demon was thus exorcised. Both lads woke up, and as they opened their eyes and wiped their faces, they suddenly saw all the familiar faces of their teacher, Lord, Equal to Earth, and the other immortals. Clear Breeze and Bright Moon were so startled that they knelt down at once and kowtowed, saying, "Master, your old friends, the monks who came from the east, were a bunch of vicious thieves." "Don't be afraid," said the great immortal, smiling. "Take your time and tell me about them." "Master," said Clear Breeze, "shortly after you left that day, a Tang monk from the land of the east did indeed arrive with 3 other monks and a horse. In obedience to your command, your disciples, having ascertained their origin, took 2 of the ginseng fruits and served them. That elder, however, had worldly eyes and a foolish mind, for he could not recognize the treasures of our immortal house. He insisted that they were newborn infants not yet 3 days old, and absolutely refused to eat them. For this reason, each of us ate one of the fruits instead. We didn't expect, however, that one of his 3 disciples, a fellow whose surname was Sun and whose given name was Wukong Pilgrim, would steal and eat 4 of the fruits. When we discovered the theft, we tried to reason with him, speaking rather forthrightly to that monk. But he refused to listen to us and instead used the magic of the spirit, leaving the body to, "Oh, this is painful." When the 2 lads reached this point in their discourse, they could not hold back their tears. "Did that monk strike you?" asked the rest of the immortals. "He did not hit us," said Bright Moon, "but he struck down our ginseng tree." When the great immortal heard this, he was not angry. Instead, he said, "Don't cry. Don't cry. What you don't know is that the fellow with the name of Sun is also a minor immortal of the great monad. He has great magic power and has caused much disturbance in heaven. If our treasure tree is struck down, all I want to know is whether you will be able to recognize these monks if you see them again." "Certainly," said Clear Breeze. "In that case," said the great immortal, "follow me. The rest of you disciples can prepare the instruments of punishment. When I return, they shall be whipped." The various immortals took this instruction, while the great immortal mounted the auspicious luminosity with Clear Breeze and Bright Moon to give chase to Tripitaka. In a moment they had covered 1,000 miles, but when the great immortal looked toward the west at the tip of the cloud, he could not see the Tang monk anywhere. When he turned around and stared eastward instead, he found that he had overtaken the pilgrims by some 900 miles, for that elder, even with his horse galloping non-stop all night, had managed to travel only 120 miles. Reversing the direction of his cloud, the great immortal made the trip back in an instant. "Master," said one of the lads, "that's the Tang monk sitting beneath a tree by the road." "I see him," said the great immortal. "You 2 go back and prepare the ropes. Let me capture them by myself." Clear Breeze and Bright Moon went back to the abbey at once. Dropping down from the clouds, the great immortal changed himself into a mendicant Taoist with one shake of his body. How was he dressed? You ask. A priestly robe patched 100 times. And a sash in the style of Mr. Liu. His hands waved a yak's tail. And lightly tapped a fish drum. Straw sandals with 3 loops shod his feet. A sinuous turban wrapped around his head. With wind-filled sleeves all aflutter. He sang of the rising moon. He came straight to the tree and said in a loud voice to the Tang monk, "Elder, this poor Taoist raises his hands." Hastily returning the salutation, the elder said, "Pardon me for not paying respect to you first. Where did the elder come from?" Asked the great immortal. "And why is he sitting in meditation here beside the road?" Tripitaka said, "I am a scripture seeker sent by the great Tang of the land of the east to the western heaven." Feigning surprise, the great immortal said, "When you came from the east, did you pass through my humble mountain abode? Which precious mountain is the abode of the venerable immortal?" Asked the elder. The great immortal said, "The 5 villages abbey in the Long Life Mountain is where I reside." The moment he heard this, Pilgrim, having something very much on his mind, replied, "No, no.